Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to the episode of my F1 2021 My Team Career Mode, episode number 23 today for the Monaco Grand Prix in Season 2. If you guys did miss the previous episode of the Spanish Grand Prix, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one, because that was a massive episode for us as a team, because, well, Sergio Checo Perez... what a man, the myth. I mean, we signed him to do just what he did at Spain, but I didn't quite think he would ever do that early in his, tenure at the team. 2 races in. Spoiler alert, go watch that video, because it was bonkers, and my reaction was, well, watching back the video, really, I really, take some enjoyment how happy I got, because I was that happy commentating it for the first time over, seeing him cross the line in first bloody place was absolutely insane. I can't believe this team has got a win already. 23 races in, and the thing is, I was nowhere near the win. We were in last place. We recovered really well, away from Perez's race. It was a really good race for us, recovering from last place, with the gearbox park Ferme brake issue to 6th place, but that basically didn't matter in comparison to what Checo achieved here today. We are very much a midfield team. We're still battling Ferrari and trying to catch Red Bull in the R&D standings. We've got Aston Martin, McLaren, Mercedes far out ahead. Clearly they were far out ahead of Bahrain, so to pull off that one stop and somehow manage to soak up the pressure, do enough to keep the likes of Hamilton at bay, Verstappen at bay, was great, because Gasly was there with the one stop and he actually didn't finish on the podium, but Perez managed to keep it going, keep the pace in the tyres, do what he is known to do best, keep tyre life, and do something crazy in a midfield car that the budget does not warrant, and there you go. So already signing Perez has been an amazing stroke of genius in a way, and obviously that's also down to you guys for saying we should go for an experienced name. If we had signed a young gun, they may have not had the experience to keep it cool and keep that race lead, keep that race win. So that's something for the history books for sure. This entire series, this will be, that episode will be the first win ever for the team. So yeah, very exciting times going into Monaco, with a load of points now in the championship to kick ourselves off after 2 races. And you can clearly see here, we've actually got a slightly different lick of paint for the Monaco GP. Monaco, it's a special race, the jewel in the Formula 1 calendar, so I thought we'd go for a special one-off livery, in your face, fluoro, yellow, green, whatever you want to call it, base color instead of the white, and essentially where the fluoro was before on the kind of accents, we've replaced that with white. So kind of a flipped almost livery, with the black steel being the kind of base color on the kind of front end of the side pod and most of the side of the car, but a very strikingly one-off special livery for this season's Monaco GP. Let's hope, off the back of a win, maybe Perez, can build some momentum. We know momentum for AI is a big thing, and on this year's game, focus is an actual tangible stat that we can see in the game in front of us, with our own eyes, the stat. That's surely going to be quite high for Perez now, so he might be performing at his maximum, which might mean I have a tough time at Monaco. Last season, I remember Monaco was a bit of a struggle for us fighting, the midfield rivals we had. So Perez now, off the back of a win, in the same piece of machinery, maybe now he's going to be comfortable in the car. He might qualify well, and qualifying is massive at Monaco. So I am kind of expecting, the way we know the AI go with momentum, I'm expecting him to be a tougher challenger at Monaco, and we need to pull our socks up, basically, because otherwise, he's going to start showing us up. I mean, he has shown us up so far. He's come in and got 9th place, okay, then got 1st place, compared to our DNF in 6th place. So, he's leading the points by a decent margin compared to us. It's obviously still very early days in the championship, 2 races gone, the pecking order, it's hard to tell really who is on top, because Ricciardo got that first win, Perez was there. You would have thought without Perez doing a one stop, maybe Hamilton would have won it. And then, what of Aston Martin? They seem very consistent in the hands of Sebastian Vettel, especially in terms of the points he's got so far, not off the podium yet in the first 2 races. So it's a very, very juicy season already, and the foundations are here for an absolute classic season. And it's only on the 2nd one as well. I've said this before again, and sorry if I'm repeating myself, but we're only on season 2, and we're already getting such a divergence from real life, and we're already getting such a different storyline being made in our particular career mode save in this series that you guys are watching on my channel compared to other creators, real life as well. It's awesome. It's really good to see that it's not taking that that long to get an alternate story that we can enjoy ourselves. And for those of you who stick with the series every episode, you can kind of follow along and get rewarded for, following along every single race. So, yeah, it's really good. Going into Monaco then, talking about upgrades, we've got 2.5k of R&D. I was wanting to wait a bit longer for discounts, but if we keep waiting, we're never going to get upgrades on the car. I think at this stage now, honestly, you're not going to see too many massive discounts, like we're talking like 15% and over in terms of the R&D boosters. So we went ahead and purchased a weight reduction upgrade on the chassis side of things, and then we also had we had an event earlier for the marketing, I think that will also boost Sergio Perez's racecraft, this is, and also his driver acclaim as well. So at the moment, from the start of the season, we had that temporary boost when we had when he did that training in pre-season. He was 93 rated. He's reverted down to an 88 rating, but he's got massive focus. 85 focus is kind of one of the highest focuses I've seen on the grid so far. So you can bet your top dollar he's going to be maxing out his potential of 88 rated, 88 pace, extracting everything with that 93 racecraft, making the moves or whatever in, qualifying. Does that mean he'll go for that extra few tenths? I don't know, but it's very exciting, in terms of where he is as a driver right now off the back of a win. And so just before then we get to the Monaco Grand Prix weekend, we have a final amount of weekly resources coming in. So we have just under 1.5k of R&D points. We also have the tyre blanket upgrade. So that's a tyre upgrade that's coming just before Monaco. So that may help us. Monaco is a kind of a dull one-stop, but, it makes the one-stop easier. We did have tyre issues. The tyre wear was pretty poor at the end of the stints, even though it was a one-stop last season. So that's going to be a massive aid. The weight reduction we bought is going to come in later, and then we've also just for now held on buying anything quite yet because I want to wait to see if we can get any other kind of R&D boosters in practice, then maybe make a decision after Monaco. There's a bit of time. There's no need to rush completely. I feel like we do need to buy maybe one upgrade per episode to keep the pace going, but there's no need to try and rush it if we know there's a chance of like a tiny percentage of a discount. And every bit of R&D is going to count, I think. So we'll play it a little bit slow and kind of just make sure we're making the right purchases at the right time when we need them. But we're now into Q1, then on our first flyer around the Principality, and we're getting held up by our former teammate. He helped us a bit around Spain by holding up other cars in the race, but this time got in my way massively here on the opening lap. So hopefully this isn't going to be too slow of a time. Ideally, I would like to get through on one set of tyres to give us enough open strategy for Q2, possibly Q3 as well. It helps to have that second set in Q3 for sure of the Red Bull tyre. So we get through, and I think we are going to get through into Q2 as well. Yep, we do. 15th place, just about there. You can see the time that we maybe lost to Ilott. Perez a good 8 tenths quicker than us, so that's quite a big margin. But Perez P9 there, so finally after the win, with the high focus, maybe Perez will now be able to get this car up into the top 10 shootout like we have done twice now at Bahrain in Spain. Of course, Monaco, this is the most important qualifying session of the entire season pretty much. Maybe only Singapore gets a bit close to how important qualifying is around here, but this is even bigger. Singapore, there's places to overtake. Monaco, especially on this game with the AI improving every game, they're so much smarter now that it's so hard to make a dive, to make a move around here, and it's like real life. It is a bit of a procession, so this is important for us to perform well, and we go fastest of all in Q2 right now, early doors, but then eventually people speed up and it's down to P8. But initially I was kind of shocked that we went fastest, but so many other people had more time in the tank. But the two people that did not have that were Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc. Very surprising to see Norris and Leclerc knocked out in Q2 there. Of course, Norris in McLaren, second best team, maybe third best team. Ricciardo's got a win so far, and the tables have turned. Norris was the one with 3 wins last season. Ricciardo had won this time around. Ricciardo's got that opening win, and he's through into Q3 at Monaco, and Norris is not. And Leclerc, he's not knocked out, surprisingly, because so far Sainz has been a bit poor for Ferrari compared to him. So it's kind of almost the time for the second drivers, in a way, to shine here at Monaco. And then you've got both Red Bulls getting through, Alonso just about, and you can see the pace difference between Sebastian Vettel and Stroll. Vettel really taking to the Aston Martin this season, looking good, but Hamilton looking strong, and, obviously Merc yet to get a win. This might be a good opportunity for them if they pull out the stops in qualifying. But I'm happy with our pace, at least, in Q2. You know, we pulled the time back and we've matched Perez. But I can tell already, you know, from the deficit we had in Q1 and the fact that it was I think it was a very good lap from us in Q2. And we are still behind Perez by a tiny margin. I think Perez is going to give us a real good fight here. And it's going to be, we're going to have to really dig deep if we want to try and out-qualify him in the top 10 shootout. But speaking of, let's get into that then. Very nerve-wracking times. You know, this is a very important session to line ourselves up for the grid. Even more so because I've not told you guys yet, but there is some forecast for some rain, unfortunately, tomorrow on Sunday. So this may be even more important because the race may be even more of a procession in the rain. And in this session, trying to maximize every inch of the circuit we can. The sun is coming down. The shadows are in places they weren't in Q1 and Q2. So kind of changing the visuals of the circuit slightly. Just getting the excuses out there. But it's been an okay lap. I'm not gonna lie though, the entire Saturday I felt a little bit of understeer in the car. It's still not there where I want it on the front end in terms of pure downforce, but across the line it's P4 ahead of Verstappen and Bottas, 1.3 off the man in first, and the man in first place is our teammate Sergio Perez. He's done a 106.9. And he's just over 1.5 tenths quicker than Ricciardo in the McLaren, calm. But then there's a 1.5 gap to Hamilton. We're not too far off Hamilton. We've actually outqualified Verstappen there and Bottas. We've actually done I thought that was a really decent first lap in Q3. And considering, like I said, I'm still getting this kind of lack of a front end, especially in the second sector here, you know, through Casino Square, into Mirrorbow, into the hairpin. I don't know what it is compared to, you know, maybe I've got muscle memory, too much muscle memory from F1 2020 with the maxed out cars, but the front end just wasn't biting as much. And in the end of it, my second lap's actually quite poor. I can't match the first lap. It's 2 red sectors, a purple third sector, but no improvement. And I simply do not know how to act right now. What is going on? What is actually going on? Sergio Perez has got pole position at the Monaco Grand Prix. What a performance from the main man, the man of the hour, the race winner at Spain. I'm speechless. Our teammates outqualified us by 1.5 seconds. That's a massive deficit. I've never had a deficit like that to a teammate in absolute ages. That is bonkers. I don't know where he's pulled this time from, but Perez is blown out of the water. You know, Ricciardo got close, but him and Ricciardo are in a world of their own. Vettel is in third place. The Aston Martin has outqualified both Mercedes cars. We've outqualified both Mercedes cars. Alonso has outqualified Verstappen here, so that's very good news for him because Verstappen seemed more comfy in the car so far. I'm just in disbelief. I'm just 1.54. That is crazy for Perez. I don't have any explanation. I think for sure the cars around us on the AI, they didn't get their second lap in for whatever reason. You know, we've seen that a few times that, you know, like real life, sometimes, you know, it just doesn't go right for them in Q3 because clearly, you know, on paper, the Merc should be, you know, getting us. You know, we've got Bottas and we've got both Red Bull cars. We're still behind Red Bull in the R&D chart. Obviously, Monaco is a very unique circuit. The driver can make a difference, but, you know, 1.5 there to Perez just shows that the car had a bit more pace in the hands of Perez, and I just don't know, you know, I would have thought that McLaren, Aston, and Merc would have been a bit faster, so I think there's definitely also maybe an issue of, I don't know, traffic, or just mistakes on their second laps, or whatever, but that's what can happen, you know, Q3, pressure's on, mistakes happen, and sometimes crazy things occur, and this sets us up for now what could be a very crazy race with Perez on pole at the place where you want to be on pole the most to try and, you know, get through to the win. He has a very good shot of winning this race now, which is mad, considering he won the last race. So, let's go to the grids and see how it ends up.
A proper road race, and in the true meaning of the word. That was how Mr. Monaco, the late great Graham Hill, once described this iconic event. The cars we drive have come a long way in the intervening half century, but still we race on those same public roads beside the Mediterranean Sea. There's no victory more coveted than that of the Monaco Grand Prix. We already see the lowest average speeds of the season here at the Circuit de Monaco, and they'll be even lower in the difficult conditions today. 19 corners make up this famous 2-mile track, and with the rain, it'll be even harder than usual to get that critical heat into the tyres. Don't be surprised if we see a safety car at some point during the Grand Prix. It's not going to be plain sailing for our drivers today. Although with the sky falling as it is, perhaps sailing isn't too far from the truth. Anthony Davidson, could be a wet one today. Great to have you with us. What are your thoughts?
It is a touch damp, isn't it? Well, as a driver, there are three big things to worry about when racing in these kind of conditions: standing water, tyre temperature and visibility. Judging distance to the cars around you is really tricky when you're driving through the vast amounts of spray that these wet weather Pirelli tyres kick up.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. It's Sergio Perez on pole position today, and P2 goes to Daniel Ricciardo, a strong showing from the Australian. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Vettel, Hamilton, the owner driver, and Fernando Alonso, Verstappen, Bottas, Sainz, and Lance Stroll, Norris, Leclerc, Pierre Gasly and Russell, Ocon, Tsunoda, Antonio Giovinazzi and Guan Yu Zhou, Latifi, Mazepin, Mick Schumacher and Callum Islet. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
So it is most definitely raining then at the Monaco Grand Prix. We've all got intermediates on, and it looks like it may be raining for the entirety of this one. 39 laps of intermediates around Monaco. This is going to be a big challenge of concentration, keeping the focus in. Ironically, it's the focus that took Sergio Perez to pole position, and he's there. You know, he's got a very good chance. In the rain, even more so. It's so much harder to even overtake Monaco in the rain, let alone the dry. So I think, you know what? This could be a very insane episode. He could actually legitimately go for 2 wins in a row in our car, which is bonkers. He's got Ricciardo on the front row alongside him. Vettel's in third ahead of Hamilton. This is going to be a very juicy one. It's going to be interesting. Can we do anything in the opening laps to maybe get a jump on anyone? And then, I don't know. I don't know what we have to kind of, you know, look forward to, because it's going to be a difficult one. It's going to be tiptoeing around. I'm not actually looking forward to it that much, but it is just something we have to get through. You know, we can't change the weather here in career mode. We get what we get, so let's just make the most of it and try and make this as best of opening lap as we can, hopefully. So here we go then to the third round of this season, the duel in the Formula 1 calendar. 5 red lights to the Monaco Grand Prix. Perez on pole, 5 red lights are out and we're underway, and it's a very shaky start for everyone as we try and get the power down. Bit of a twitch of oversteer. Vettel down the inside trying to get to second place. We're going to go down the inside of Hamilton. Hamilton taps the wall. We get a good exit off turn 1, use the curb like Vettel tried to do, but we get the run and we're up into P4. We've overtaken the Mercedes car, but we've understeered in towards Casino Square. Hamilton on the outside, but we've still got the better racing line to the inside of Mirabeau, and we're going to maintain P4. So it's a good opening lap, as opening laps can go around here. Sergio Perez still leads the way then in first place of Monaco. Ricciardo second. Vettel couldn't quite do it. He tried to do what we did to Hamilton basically, but didn't get the good enough exit at turn 1, I think. Got caught up on the curb a bit too much, the German did, so he stays put in third place. But we're up into P4. We've taken our one chance on the opening lap to overtake Hamilton, but now it's a question of, can we maintain the position and can we keep up with Sebastian Vettel? The answer on lap 3 is no. Vettel is pulling away the top 3 in a world of their own, and Hamilton is right up our gearbox. He's got the great speed through the tunnel, and he may go for a move. We go defensive. We're deploying ERS out the tunnel, but Hamilton has a great brake zone. He's on the inside. We're now side by side. It's going to be tricky in the rear end. It squirms about, and you can see just how wet it is still here, and we're trying to go side by side through into the next swim ball section. This cannot end well, surely. We're still side by side. Hamilton, though, has the inside line, and we just get pushed out wide into the actual swim pool chicane, and Alonso on the inside. We've locked up on the front right. We're trying to give him the room. He's still very much there. Fernando was fully alongside us at Rascas. We had to give him the space to work with, but in the end, Hamilton has re-overtaken us then. Probably, to be expected, only a matter of time, because look at the pace difference. Lap 7, he's nearly 4 seconds ahead of us now, so you can tell I don't have the pace, which makes Perez's performance, he's still in P1, he's still leading the race, makes that even more impressive, because I simply don't have that pace in my locker compared to Perez here. And the whole top 4 in a world of their own, as we're just backing into Alonso and Verstappen and trying to maintain trap position, but we made a mistake at the tunnel. Oh, we spun it round. We spun it round. Oh, no. Alonso's hit us. We've got, I think, probably damage on the left-hand side, but we somehow kept that out the wall. That was amazing. We somehow kept our front wing intact, but I think Alonso smashed into our side pod. Surely with simulation damage, we have too much collateral damage on that side of the car. We're trying to spin the car around, but I needed to wait for all that traffic, and we've been handed a 15-second penalty for, I guess, causing a collision with Alonso and maybe the stoppage on circuit, but I had to wait for those cars, and look at the damage. We've got damage on both sides of the floor and the barge board. Let's look at a replay. We lose the back end, but look at that. Skillful at first to spin the car around, but then Alonso just hitting me made that redundant, you know. That spin was amazing. We somehow kept out of the wall. And we're going to look at another replay, slow-mo here. You can see the back end is already getting loose. I'm deploying ERS through this corner. Now, I did that the first couple of laps, and it was fine. But on this lap, just a bit too, I don't know, either too dry for the inters or whatever. But look at the car control here. We somehow keep the front wing out the wall, so we're calm on the front end. But then Alonso just comes in, smashes into us, and you can see the damage on his front wing. And for us, well, we've got damage to the floor and the barge board area on the left and right. New damage for this game, and look how close this was to Lance Stroll. That could have been race over for both of us. He was inches away from hitting us. Here's an onboard Fernando Alonso there. There's that car control, and then, unfortunately, there's that smash. But yeah, new damage on F1 2021 means, you know, this wouldn't have been a thing on last year's game. This wouldn't have been a thing. I would have been scot-free. I would have got away with this scot-free, but on this year's game, can't get away with it. We've got floor damage, we've got barge board damage, and it's just not ended well for us at all, has it? So here we are then in the aftermath of that. We're down in 20th place now. Lap 7, we've got so long to go, but look at how bad the car is handling now. Front wing's fine. The front wing's totally fine, but that's something that I can change in the pit stop. I can't change this damage on the floor, and there's going to be a lot of people in the pits. They've got damage themselves in that chaos, but we simply continue on. There's no point even trying to come in to fix it, because physically, you're not able to. Even in real life, they couldn't do that. So we have now just got this permanent floor damage, kind of almost like, you know, the likes of Verstappen had the damage at Hungary in real life. We've just got to deal with it and try and limp through, and I don't know, you never say never in Formula 1. So I'm going to continue on. This race has already been quite hectic, so you never know what's going to occur. So there may be half a chance we can salvage something like 1 point. I don't know if we have enough pace, even with the damage, compared to like the slower, much slower midfield and back marker cars. I just don't know, but for right now, it's struggle town. And meanwhile, my teammate Sergio Perez is still leading the way from Ricciardo, Vettel, Hamilton in P4, Sainz and Bottas climb up to P5 and 6 then. And then here we are, P14, trundling around with this damage, and it's just such a stark contrast in fates, isn't it, between myself and Perez.
The underbody's taken some damage. You may start to notice it.
And confirmation there from our engineer that, yeah, I mean, we can see it on the heads-up display as well. You know, we definitely have an issue. The floor is kind of more yellowy, and the barge boards are lime green, so there's a bit more damage on the floor compared to the barge board, but both areas are damaged on both sides somehow, actually. So there's like an impact damage, basically. Not, you know, kind of like shockwave through the left of the car to the right of the car. And so it just means that, yeah, basically mid-corner, what it feels like, it's just floatiness. There is downforce initially because the front wing's doing work, but mid-corner, the car is now snapping. It's a little bit, you know, every corner is a different feeling every lap. So it's about just guessing and kind of driving with the twitch of oversteer, understeer, whatever it is, every lap. It's a very weird feeling, one that I've never experienced ever before in an F1 game, because like I said, it's the first time we've ever had this kind of damage on an F1 game from Codemasters. So it's quite a unique thing, quite cool to see, but obviously for us, it's yeah, it's a struggle. And of course, I've only got myself to blame, because ultimately I was the one who span in the tunnel. You know, Alonso was just there and couldn't react quick enough, so it is my fault, basically. Oh my god, Lando Norris has made a mistake. Speaking of mistakes there, at the swimming pool, or just before the swimming pool chicane, and that was an insane camera shot. Lando Norris in the wall, and oh god, Guan Yu Cho in the Williams. We cut away, I think, at the correct time, because there was a massive crash there with the Williams Williams car going straight into the stricken McLaren. Guan Yu Zhou has a 10-second penalty. He's not out of the race, though, so he's got a penalty for hitting Lando whilst he's stricken. And the full course safety car is out then at Monaco. It wasn't out for my spin, which I still don't actually get because I was blocking half the track. But it is that, you know, we'll get away from that. But yeah, the safety car's out. So we come in then to try and take our penalty under the safety car. Because if I'm going to try and get to the end of this race and struggle through with the damage and just see where we end up, I need to get rid of this penalty. So I think we can do a stop-go, hopefully, here, and basically serve the penalty in the pits and don't get it added to our time after the race. But the team change our tyres, new set of inters on, no front wing change, obviously no damage change can be done on the floor and whatever, but we've only gotten rid of 5 seconds. We've only got rid of 5 seconds, so I don't think the game has a mechanic to do a 15-second stop-go. Or for whatever reason, my team haven't put me on a 15-second stop-go. The safety car's there. We overtake it. We're going to have to catch it back up. But I thought we could do a 15-second stop-go. You know, that's what they would do in real life. I think you can do a 15. I think you can just sit there for 15 seconds and get rid of your penalty like that. I don't know why we didn't do that. I don't know why there's not a mechanic in the game for that, because that's now screwed me over, because we bunched up and we still have to serve 10 seconds if we make a pit stop, or we have 10 seconds added to our time. And on top of that, I mean, you can just see how slow the car is. I'm being attacked by the Williams. Guan Yu Zhou has gone down the inside. Zhou's tried to he has overtaken us. We've just been done by a Williams on the inside. Yellow flags, though, in the tunnel. Don't tell me someone else is span here. No, it doesn't look like it, but there is someone a little bit slow up the road, I can see. There's a bit of a train behind George Russell in the Alpine. Maybe he's had an issue and got some damage and holding people up. There's blue flags as well for Latifi as well. So we're lapping someone despite the struggles in our car. But you can just see what kind of difference is making. I just got absolutely had my pants pulled down by that Williams car into turn 1 off the back of the restart. But we're now going to try and re-overtake him because Russell's holding everyone up. He's in the pit lane, so we've used that to our advantage. Bit of a wily old fox move around the Williams. No! God, the Williams got spun round. Oh, I'm putting my hands up. I don't think that was my fault. I simply overtook him, and there was not enough room for him to go. And the safety car's been deployed again. A second safety car's come out, and I think that's for the Williams car. Guan Yu Zhou, he was basically blocking the entire circuit at the last corner, but I think that was a racing incident. I just overtook him. I thought I gave him enough room. And this is why there was yellow flags and Russell had damage. Because actually, as Latifi was getting lapped, Russell hit the back of Latifi, causing him to have front wing damage. And obviously, we used that to our advantage to overtake or try to overtake Guan Yu Zhou. And here is the replay of that. Round the outside, I gave him as much room as I could. And he hit the inside wall and then our car and spun around. And that's why, clearly, there needed to be a safety car, because there's a massive blockade. And the Williams reverses into a car, trying to get it through. But this is the onboard here. So I give him so much room. At this point, he's actually gone too tight. He's hit the wall himself, and then he's bounced off from the wall. He's bounced from the wall into my car, and that's what spun him round ultimately. But it's the fact that he hit the wall first that's jumped his car into mine, because I gave him enough room. If he had just got that into the left-hand side and not hit the wall, I think we both would have made it through, in my opinion. And the FI agree with that, because we don't have an extra penalty. We've gotten rid of another 5-second penalty, because we've come in again. Another new set of intermediate tyres then, but only 5 seconds removed again. So I think the game literally, physically can't do more than a 5-stop and go penalty in the pits. But the logic behind here is, if we are going to get something, we're going to just about limp home, use other people's unfortunate races to our advantage, we need to have no time penalties, because we need to finish where we finish. Because, we could maybe hold up some cars if we got track position, let's say, even with our stricken, damaged, broken car. We could still defend because it's Monaco, but I need to not have time penalties for that. So we've still got a 5-second one. Whether there's another pit stop in this race to go, I don't know, because we're now on our 3rd set of intermediates. They're fresh inters. I don't know who else is pit ahead of us or what. I don't know what the story is, but we've got fresh inters. Let's see how this goes then. On the restart, trying to keep up with Verstappen, but you can see just how delicately I'm having to be mid-corner, tiptoeing on the throttle as well, because the floor damage also affects the acceleration, also the general grip level, but you can see locking up into the turn one. Russell right behind me then. He's going to give me a push up the hill, basically, as we deploy ERS. Lap 20, 19 laps to go. So, we've gone through like just over halfway of this race then. Still a long way to go, don't get me wrong. But I do think we can get to the end. Not well, but we can get to the end. And I guess just where we end up, really. But looks like our old teammate Callum Ilott here is looking very slow and holding up Giovinazzi Verstappen. And the Haas is actually slower than us, even with the damage. So we could use him, like in Spain, to maybe try and make a move somewhere. I don't know. We've got to try everything, basically. But it's still Sergio Perez, by the way, in the lead from Ricciardo to Vettel. But like was the case in real life at Hungary, when Verstappen, the man actually ahead of us, had the damage in real life at Hungary, he was still quicker than some of the backmarker cars, and that's the case here with Ilott and Giovinazzi. They're still slower cars than myself with this damage, and Verstappen's getting held up so much here and falling asleep at the wheel that we send one down the inside. I will admit, very over-aggressive, but it is the F1 game. It's not real life. You can make a pass at the hairpin if you play the cards right, get the elbow out, a little love tap on the right front to his left front there at the hairpin. We get the move, and Verstappen is just struggling. I think actually now looking at it on the top left, I think he himself had damage off the back of something, or maybe still damage from the crash, remember, because he also got caught up with Alonso. So I wonder if both Red Bulls have floor damage, because those two are looking very slow. They're both behind me in the pecking order as we go for a deja vu move on Giovinazzi as Ilott sparks away. We get the move on Giovinazzi. Like I said, these two cars, they're back markers. They're still slower than me, even with this damage. But yeah, I think both Red Bulls actually are still feeling some, cause and effect from the crash, basically, because Verstappen, for whatever reason, was very, very slow there, and he actually came into the pit lane then afterwards. But we're going to try and make a switchback move at the last corner on Ilott. Very unorthodox way to make an overtake here, but we make it so in a straight line. Of course, our car's still quick with the ERS on the inside. Easy does it, and sliding the car through up into P12, doing God's work here to keep this car going in a somewhat okay fashion with the amount of damage we have on the right hand side of the heads-up display. But yeah, ahead of us, Stroll, big gap there, so I don't know, how much more we can climb, basically. So we are now going to focus on the top flight guys here. Sergio Perez still leading the way then on lap 25, Ricciardo second, Vettel third, Sainz in fourth, Hamilton in fifth place. I don't know what the deal is with who's made a pit stop under a safety car or not. I feel like most people did make a pit stop under the second safety car. It would have made sense to get a free pit stop to make the one stop still work around here, but I just don't know. I don't quite know. We didn't see who made pit stops around there, so we're gonna have to kind of see how this one plays out. But Perez leading the way at the moment, and Perez, oh no, we spoke about it and it's happened. Perez comes in then, but Ricciardo continues on. Vettel continues on. Sainz is in. So is this a two-stop occurring for Perez and Sainz? Is Ricciardo and Vettel, are they going to come in at the end of this next lap then? Hamilton's in as well. So there is a two-stop happening here then. I don't know whether this means, potentially, well, Perez was still in the lead. So whenever Ricciardo and Vettel pit, whichever safety car it was, Perez must have pit at the same time. So this is an extra pit stop from Perez. Does he maybe think the tyres are going to wear out? We have got a long way to go, 13 laps, and we've been racing for a few laps now since the second safety car. So there are enough laps to be enough tyre wear, maybe. So maybe Perez and Hamilton and Sainz think they need to pull the trigger to win this race, to get on the podium. Ricciardo and Vettel, though, they continue on, as well as Ocon and Stroll, and they're going to continue on for another lap or so. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens with them. Meanwhile, back to our POV, lap 27, Sainz, who's made that second pit stop behind us, but he overtakes us with ease out of the tunnel. There's no point there. I would love to fight him, but we've got a 5-second penalty. So if I just held up Sainz here, held up Bottas and Leclerc, I'm just going to go behind them anyway on the penalty. I'm not making another pit stop in this race unless I crash the car. So there's no point really fighting them that much, if you know what I mean, because I'm still going to be behind them anyway on the race finish. That's the annoying. That's why I wanted. This is why I wanted to get rid of the 15 seconds in the pit stop. So we're just kind of stuck here in an annoying situation where I know where I finish is not going to be where I finish, so I've got 5 seconds. But at lap 29, the rain seems to be a bit heavier now, you know, on the camera here. I don't know if it's just the camera lens, but Ricciardo continues on in first place. 10 laps to go. I would say it looks like he's just going to risk it and go to the end on a one-stop. So Ricciardo, he won the Bahrain Grand Prix, the opener, then had a DNF. Could he be on for a second win of the season then, and winning all the races he's finished in this season so far? And Vettel, the ever-consistent German in Aston Martin, second place there. Ocon's done amazing in the Alpine, by the way, as well. He's in third. Stroll's in fourth. And Perez on the two-stop. He's got more pace than anyone on this circuit. He's the fastest man at Monaco here, along with Hamilton. But he's caught up to Stroll and Ocon. But it's Monaco. He's going to find it difficult to overtake. So is this a mistake by the other side of the garage, on Perez's side of the garage, to pit him for a second stop? Because I think he may have just lost the race win here with that. And on lap 29 then, on that same lap later on, in our POV, in our world, it's pain. It's pain. Bottas overtakes us. Again, there's no point in putting up to a fight. You can see Leclerc, Gasly, even Hamilton now. They're right behind me. They're well within 5 seconds. So even if I held on to P8, I would finish outside the points here because of that 5-second penalty. So again, I'll say it again. It's annoying we couldn't do a 15-second stop go, but it is what it is. At this point, I'm just driving for the sake of just trying to get to the end of this race to show you guys what happens with the AI, basically, because, you know, and also just to kind of get to the end, because you still never know. You never know what could happen in this race. You know, there could be another AI crash. There could be another safety car, pit stops. I don't know. So let's see. But the only thing at the moment happening in our race is being overtaken. Lap 35, 4 laps to go. Gasly now around the outside. We go to the inside line, but unlike Bottas and Sainz, Gasly actually is not that quick, and we're actually, I feel like we're semi-quick compared to him, and even with our broken car, we can still keep this going. So we're going to do that. It's going to become an absolute titanic battle, maybe, because we're somehow keeping this side by side, even into the chicane here. Unlike when we battled Hamilton on lap 3, we actually managed to keep our nose in, and we're still going side by side. Oh, massive drift. We just clouted the rear wall. I don't know if we have damage from that. I'll be surprised if we didn't. That was a massive drift into Raskas there. Very cool looking, but not great for pace. But in a straight line, we've got the pace on Gasly. Dive down the inside, of course. There's also another reason why we're fighting Gasly. It's Gasly. How we're not going to fight him. You know, we've got a bit of bad blood between us from season 1. But the thing is, like I said, he's legitimately not out and out quicker than me right now. Even with the damage, the Mercedes and Ferrari, yes, but this AlphaTauri, we're so much quicker on the R&D chart that I'm actually legitly keeping up with him, and I've re-overtaken him fair and square onto Mirabeau. Even with the damage, and we're drifting around, the rear end is really squirming. I think we maybe did get a bit more damage from that drift at Raskas, but I'll accept Bottas and Sainz overtaking me with, overwhelming pace. But clearly there, Gasly didn't waltz away from us in an acceleration zone. He was still struggling to get side by side with us. So I'm going to continue to maybe maintain the position. He comes through. Oh my God. He makes a very ballsy move to the inside of the tunnel. We dive back down the inside though, because look at that. He's locking up and making mistakes, but eventually this may be, I think that's the final nail of the coffin. We had the pace with the damage to hold him up for one lap, but eventually he gets us. Leclerc flies past us, but like I said, the Ferrari has the overwhelming pace to get us with the damage. But the AlphaTauri, I put up as much of a fight as I could. Eventually, he was always going to probably overtake us, I will admit, because eventually, you've got to, reason that I've got that much damage on me. But, we tried our best. Had a bit of entertainment there, but in the end, P10, we've got a 5-second penalty. Guan Yu Zhou's got a 5-second penalty behind me, so both of us are going to fall back down the order. So, really, it's all for nothing. Really, and now we've spun it at the hairpin. Oh, no. The rear end step, we spun it at the hairpin. We lost our front wing, and now the Williams... What are you doing, Williams? Guan Yu Zhou, get out of the way, man. Why are you driving into me, mate? I simply don't know what's happening. I'm trying to spin the car around, and he's still driving into me like an absolute nutter. And oh my God, now we've spun it the hairpin. And now the leaders have caught us. Oh no. Oh, there's a massive pile-up. Oh, Ricciardo's pulled through on the right. Vettel, there's a space there. Oh, Vettel, there's a space on the left, man. There's a space. I don't know if it's yellow flags, but the leaders have caught up to us at the hairpin. I've caused absolute havoc here, and Ricciardo's stuck. He can't go. Bottas is holding him up. There's a massive crash with the Haas and Alfa Romeo, and everyone's caught up here. Bottas eventually goes through, and Perez just overtook Stroll there. Perez has overtaken Stroll, and Ocon's crashed into Perez. What is going on here? What is going on? Ricciardo still leads the race. Vettel in second, Ocon third, but Perez has snuck up into P4, but I think Ocon has damage. I think he has floor damage or front wing damage from hitting someone there at the hairpin. I don't know why Vettel, though, did not try and overtake Ricciardo, unless there was yellow flags that I couldn't see. Sebastian had a great chance to nip through on the left-hand side and get into first place, but I think there was yellow flags, but what a massive incident for us. That was just comical at a certain point, because I was trying to spin the car around, but the Williams simply wouldn't let me. So we're in now for I don't know what this is, a 4th time in the pit stops. We've got another penalty for spinning it at the hairpin and causing a pile up there. So we've had every penalty under the sun here then. We've got a front wing change, and we're now down in P14. It's not been a great race, I can't lie. It's been a very eventful one, I'll give you that, but it's not been a great one for us. And Perez, I think he may be getting a podium after all from this, but I mean, this was just... I definitely think I had damage on the rear wing from the Raskas drift, because I definitely now have rear wing damage. Like, legitimately, I have a yellow rear wing now on the heads-up display, but this was just stupidity from... one thing, fair play to the F1 game for not ghosting all these cars, because it makes it more realistic that the cars can't ghost and go through people. But here, I was trying to spin it round and do a flick spin, or just simply turn right in a sharp angle, but the Williams wouldn't let me, or he was driving into me, and then I unfortunately embarrassingly spun it on the curb and faced the wall again and had to reverse and spin around again. But, you know, we have rear wing damage now, so we've got floor damage, barge wall damage, and rear... We basically hit every new damage system in this race, all at the same time in one GP. Kind of crazy. But through all this chaos, facing backwards at the hairpin, Daniel Ricciardo has come through to lead this race, and is still leading on the last lap, and he's coming around the final bend to win the Monaco Grand Prix. We know how much Ricciardo loves a win at Monaco. It's his 2nd win of this season. He's won every race he's finished this season. A win, DNF and win. Vettel, the ever-consistent man, in 2nd place. And Sergio Perez, it's not the win from the pole, so he will be disappointed, but it's still a freaking podium. He's got back-to-back podiums for our team. He won the last race, 3rd place today. That's still insane. And the pole at Monaco. He's had an electric 2 episodes here, and for me, it's a very stark contrast, embarrassing and very dismal race. I mean, parts of it weren't my fault, but, you know, the 2 incidents were my fault. The spin in the tunnel, the spin in the hairpin. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. Very different day to Perez.
They've done it then. They've won here in Monaco with an emphatic performance and a victory they can be proud of for years to come. Talk to me, Ants. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
Well, keeping their tyre temperatures up in the tricky wet conditions was really important. There's not much grip out there at the best of times, and it's 10 times worse if you're out there on cold tyres. So the way they kept the rubber in its proper operating window was a huge advantage today.
As the winners make their way up to the podium, one can only imagine the celebrations that will take place at McLaren tonight. Congratulations to everyone on the team, securing the win and proving they're a force to be reckoned with out on the track.
So McLaren are still very quick. And this time round, it's not Lando Norris leading the way for that team. It's Ricciardo. Again, in stark contrast to real life, Ricciardo is excelling at McLaren with 2 wins. And Vettel as well, got to be said, Mr. Consistent, not off the podium so far in Season 2. That's mad. And Perez, I mean, even though he will be disappointed with not winning from pole in the wet Monaco race, it was crazy enough where you can understand the 2-stop gamble wasn't the one for him today, but it's still a double podium, back-to-back podium I should say, and he's outshining us completely. But what a mad race. Many DNFs, a few disqualifications at that hairpin pile-up, which myself and Granu Joe caused. And in the championship then, well, it's absolutely mad scenes. Ricciardo leads the way, 4 points to Vettel, and then 8 points to Perez. And look at the gap from Perez to myself. This is probably the biggest gap I've ever had to a teammate early on in a season. This is crazy. That's over 30 points I'm behind Perez. He is completely leading this team at the moment, outshining me completely in my own team. Yeah, this is a very weird feeling, and this must be a very weird sight to see for you guys as well. It doesn't happen ever or often. But there we are, and we're 4th place in the championship. Aston Martin lead the constructors ahead of Merc, McLaren in 3rd. Red Bull are down to P7, only ahead of Alpine and behind Ferrari. I don't know what's going on in this season. This has been an absolute madness, and it's season 2. It's so chaotic, and it's the second. Usually, it's somewhat kind of like real life still in season 2. But no, it's just gone bonkers, and I love it. I love this game for it. It's crazy. What a mad Monaco race. Wasn't obviously a great one for me, but obviously for you guys, it was mega entertaining, I'm sure, to see all that kick off. We got the max sponsor in terms of all the money, so I can't complain in that department. And yeah, it was an entertaining one to commentate back. So guys, if you did enjoy this episode, then be sure to hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do subscribe for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys around. Goodbye.